Today we're going to be talking about reps in reserve. This is another scale, just very similar to rated perceived exertion or RPE, that you can use to rate how difficult your exercise is. This is important because any kind of physical activity that you're doing requires that you do it at an intense enough level to create adaptation and get stronger and better at the activity, but not do it so hard that you're putting yourself in harm's way. So we're just looking at reps in reserve as one possible means of you evaluating your own exertion during exercise. And at the end of the video too, I will compare this to yoga because typically RIR is not used in a yoga setting, but I think that it should be used in some yoga settings. So we'll take a look at it today. Real quick, my name is Anthony Davis. This is Shapeshift Wellness, where we explore research on fitness, yoga, and meditation so that you can take your practice into your own hands. If you like that sort of thing, please subscribe to my channel, share this video with your friends, like this video. And now let's learn about reps in reserve today. So the importance of this, as I mentioned in my last video, which was on rating of perceived exertion, is that like a tree grows its roots deep into the ground in order to stabilize itself as it grows upward, and that this process is at least somewhat dependent on the stressors that that tree is under. I believe that there was an experiment, I believe is called Biodome, or I think it was the second experiment, so Biodome 2. If you know anything about this, share it in the comments, but where they tried to create a self-contained atmosphere basically in a bubble, and that the trees were weak and died because there were no stressors. There was no wind inside the bubble, and that the trees needed wind in order to thrive. We also need wind. We need stress, but we don't need so much stress that our branches break, so to speak, right? But we do need enough stress that our roots grow deep and strong. So that's the importance of RIR, and we're looking at that through this piece of research here. So if you'd like to go to an original piece of research and read about the comparison of RPE, RIR, 1 rep max, and other means of rating how difficult your exercise are, this is a good summary bit of research. So that's the content I'm taking here is coming from there. That's the citation there. So reps in reserve. Overview here is that benefits of using this method compared to other methods is that, well, compared to RPE, it might be more accurate, and we'll explain why. It also might be that both RPE and RIR allow, compared to using a percentage of 1 rep max, it allows us to adapt to the changing needs of the human being, and that is allostasis. So your allostatic load is basically all of the stressors that are placed on you as a human being. That is physical stressors like working out, but that's also mental stressors, emotional stressors, environmental stressors. Did you eat good food? Did you get good sleep? Are you having good relationships? That kind of thing. All of those things play into our body's ability to recover from any kind of activity. And so if you on one day have a lot more stress in your life, you're not going to be able to perform the same intensity of exercise as you did on previous days. And so using a self-regulated rating of perceived exertion, or in this case, a reps in reserve scale, that allows you to adapt to your changing needs as a human being. And also RIR seems to be relatively easy to use for most people. Limitations to RIR are essentially, it's about how many repetitions you can do. So we can't really apply it to isometric poses like in yoga. So we can't really use this scale for how long you can hold a pose. It would be better to use RPE for that. However, I do believe we can apply it to some yoga situations, and I'll explore that at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around. Okay, so now let's look at the scale here. So last week I talked about RPE, which is rating of perceived exertion, and it's a scale of basically 1 to 10, and a 10 is maximum effort, 1 or a 0 is no effort, and everything in between is that scale. Reps in reserve is sort of like an inverse of that, where if you have an RPE of 9, let's say, then we might say the RIR is 1 repetition left in in the tank. Now, sometimes people use RPE in the context of they're talking about how many reps in reserve, and so when they explain RPE, they are sort of using reps in reserve terminology. So there's a lot of overlap here, especially when it comes down to like leaving literature and academic world and actually getting into a studio or into a gym. In real life, people often conflate these two ideas, and no wonder, because they really do kind of work out nicely together. Where if we had an RPE of 10, that would be an RIR of 0. 10 is your maximum effort. So you couldn't have done any more reps when you get to the end of the exercise. So again, reps in reserve is just asking, well, how many reps at the end of your exercise could you have done? Right? You get to the end of your exercise, you're doing bicep curls, you get to the end of it. How many reps could you have done beyond the amount that you did? If it's maximum effort, you could not have done another rep. So that would be 0 reps in reserve. That is your 1 rep, or your, X number of reps max, right? An RPE of 9, we might look at as a reps in reserve of 1. That, okay, I could have done 1 more rep, but that's it. I could not have done any more than that. And so on and so forth, right? Nobody would really use an RIR of, more than like 5. It's just not, that would be silly. That would be, you're not exercising intensely enough. You didn't pick up a heavy enough weight for that exercise, or you didn't choose a difficult enough yoga variation of that pose, or that dynamic flow, to make it difficult enough for you to actually gain from it. So we wouldn't really use these bottom numbers of the scale. This is more of a like, oh, I could have easily done 10 more. Okay, we need to make it more intense for you. So how do we actually use this? Well, if we had an example here of this woman, so she's got a kettlebell, maybe she's just doing some squats, or maybe she's doing, kettlebell swings. But if I said, okay, to this individual, I would like you to perform between 8 and 12 repetitions of this kettlebell swing. I want you to do 8 to 12 of them. So that's a range. It depends on your comfort. And I want you to do it with a weight that's heavy enough that when you get to the end of somewhere between 8 and 12 reps, that you feel like you could have done 2 or 3 more repetitions, not more, not less. Okay. So you have to play around with it then at home. You have to say, all right, well, let me try to pick up a 20-pound kettlebell, and you do 8 reps, and you get to 8 and you're like, oh, I could have easily done like 10 more. Okay, that's not a heavy enough weight. So you pick up, a 30-pound kettlebell, you have 40. All right, so eventually you get to a 40-pound kettlebell, and you're doing these kettlebell swings, and you get to like 8 reps, and it's like, whoa, okay, all right, I'm working, but I could do some more. All right, you get to 9, and it's like, okay, that's tough. You get to 10, and you're like, okay, I could only do a couple more. Good, then that's where you stop. Okay, so that's what you do. You say, all right, so for me, 40 pounds of a kettlebell swing, I can do 10 reps, and at the end of 10 reps, I feel like I could have done just a couple more. So that's how you know how much weight to pick up. So this is a really good scale, because I don't need to tell you how much weight to pick up. I just tell you how intense the exercise should be, and you find an appropriate weight for you. Okay, so now let's apply it to a yoga situation. So in yoga, usually we're doing a lot of dynamic or isometric holds, but sometimes we do dynamic poses. Like chaturanga is a movement, and therefore anything that is a movement we could describe as a repetition. I know that's kind of dirty language in yoga. We don't like to talk about yoga as like exercise, but let's just look at it from a purely physical aspect just for a moment, and we look at this as a rep. So we're doing chaturanga, and how many repetitions could you do in a row? And I would argue that most people, if you actually, now we would usually not do this in yoga, but if you were to do chaturanga and you were to do 1 chaturanga, 2 chaturanga, 3, and you were to do as many chaturangas in a row as you possibly could, I would argue that most people could not do many chaturangas in a row. Probably most, your average yoga student could probably do 1, 2, or 3, maybe 3 chaturangas in a row. And then they would get too tired to do any more, right? Or their form would be compromised. So in that case, we're doing exercise in yoga, we're doing chaturangas that are way too intense for people. And so when people blame chaturanga for all the issues under the sun, that it's a shoulder shredder and that it's terrible for your shoulders, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. If you're just jumping into chaturanga. Jumping into a full chaturanga would be like jumping into barbell squats with 200 pounds on your back. It's just too intense for you right now. You need to start by just doing body weight squats, right? And in this example, with chaturanga, we need to start with the knees down, and we need to start by not going to full depth. And then we can go to full depth with the knees down, and then knees up, but not full depth, and then eventually full depth and knees up. But you decide which variation, and there are other variations, but you decide which variation leads to your ability to do maybe 8 to 12 reps in a row. So how many, I want you to be able to do 8 to 12 chaturanga push-ups in a row. And when you get to done doing those reps, you should feel like you could have done at least a couple more, that's not maximum effort. And if you're working at that range, then you're working at a level that is intense enough to definitely make you strong, but it's not so intense that you're going to get hurt. What most people do is they work at a range that's like, oh, they do 1 to 3 repetitions, between 1 and 3 repetitions, and at the end they feel like they could have done 0 more, or maybe 1 more repetition. And that is way too intense of a workload for most people. That's asking for an injury, right? Anyway, let's compare reps in reserve to 1 rep max real quick. So 1 rep max is basically we calculate what is the theoretical heaviest weight you could pick up in this particular exercise, and then we say, okay, if this is the theoretical heaviest weight, if I think you could pick up 100 pounds, then I want you actually exercising, picking up 70 pounds on a regular basis multiple times, because I don't want you picking up the heaviest possible thing you can. That's asking for injury, so we work at a percentage of that. But actually, let me go back. But so the problem with this is that we stick to a weight no matter what, and it doesn't account for your individual status on a given day, your allostatic load. So it doesn't account for your life stressors, poor sleep, poor diet, emotional stress, etc., etc. So that's why reps in reserve is good, because on any given day you can say, well, today I feel like at this much weight or this intensity of a yoga pose, I could do a few more reps, and you can change each day. If we compare reps in reserve to RPE, it may be that it's easier to estimate how many more reps you could have done than using a scale of 1 to 10 and estimating a percentage of maximum effort. So percentage gets a little abstract. Reps in reserve is a very concrete idea and might be easier for people to guess. So again, as a reminder, this all actually matters, not just because we want to memorize a bunch more terms and get all fancy pants, but because we want you to make sure you're exercising at a level that is intense enough to create adaptation, but not so intense that you get injured. And we want you to be able to assess that for yourself. You should have the skills to judge this for yourself without somebody barking commands at you. Thank you for watching. I hope you gained some kind of value from this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. Also, check out my website. I've got courses on yoga anatomy and all kinds of other stuff, so check it out. Thanks for watching. Take care.